Good morning and welcome to the Treehouse. This is Kag with the View from Above tarot reading for Tuesday, October 1st. So we're going to switch things up a little bit, especially for this first week of October, and do things just a little bit differently than we have these last couple of months. I have found that I've wanted to do some readings that have a little more context to them. And so my plan is to do readings for today and then the next 7 days. So the first 8 days of October around some specific areas that we all have in our lives. To be fair, we have to start with a reading that encompasses the whole month. We've been doing generic readings every day, but it seems to me that it would be helpful to look at some of those specifics. For example, we all have relationships with our family of origin. We all have relationships with the family that we've created. We all have work of some sort. Even though I'm retired, this is my work. So it is work related. We have other things that go on in our lives. We have expenditures that we need to make, some financial plans we need to do, that sort of thing. And so it is my expectation for these first 8 days for sure, anyway, to do something really more specific around a particular topic. So just to reiterate, this day's specific topic is a generic reading for the month of October for all of us. Now, before I begin with the reading, I just want to call out the fact that tomorrow, the 2nd of October, is twofold in the astrological world. We've got an eclipse. It is a solar eclipse, which means that the moon is in front of the sun. So it's a solar eclipse. And it's also happening in the sign of Libra. And so with all eclipses, we have to be really careful not to look at the sun. Everybody wants to look at the sun and see the shadow of the moon on the sun. Don't do that. There are ways to view the eclipse that are safe. Some of them involve getting specific glasses, and sometimes libraries or schools will have those glasses for you to use so you can see the eclipse. Or you can make one of those little pin viewers. But again, my caution is do not look at the sun to see the eclipse. Okay, do not look directly at the sun. And as always, I want to point you out there to the astrological world for what an eclipse means energetically. The fact that it is in Libra, I can say that Libra is the sign of relationships, of balance, and of justice. But anything more specific than that, the astrologers need to address that for you. The new moon eclipse, I would direct you to the astronomical experts out there to give you a little more information about that. The one thing I can tell you about the new moon is that this is a good day to begin with new intentions. So if you have some new intention, something growth-wise, personally that you want to embark on, maybe it is something about being better, about getting more sleep or eating your vegetables or whatever that is. It is great to start something like that under the new moon because the energy of the moon growing into its fullness is helpful in that regard. The last caveat I want to give you is that this is a reading for the collective. So take what resonates for you and leave the rest. Okay, one last shuffle here and we'll get the reflective spread out for the month of October. And we'll be using the same deck all of these next 8 days as well, which is the Centennial deck. So this is where we are for the month of October. Here is the challenge for October. Here is our frame of reference for October, the past energies, the focus of mind, and where this energy is going forward. The other thing that I want to do a little bit differently is if we get more than one page, we will draw a page message at the end rather than pull a message for each of the pages that show up. We'll give them a collective message. And this is Meriwether for today. Okay, so for October, we find ourselves to be generating the energy of the Queen of Cups. The Queen of Cups is the one who knows best about self-care. She knows what she needs emotionally. She's also the most mature emotionally. And on the downside, she can be a bit of a drama queen. So this is an emotional place for us. October is an emotional time of year. We are now settled into the school year. We're settled back into more of a routine after the summer break. And that can feel a little sad. I mean, October, as the days are getting shorter, can feel a little sad, and we have to do different things to care for ourselves as the days get a little bit darker. So that's kind of where we're at this month. We are channeling the Queen of Cups. Our challenge is the Queen of Swords. The Queen of Swords is the queen who knows immediately what it is that she needs and wants. She has no problem cutting cords and telling people exactly how she feels. So this being a challenge is that if we are taking care of ourselves and we are speaking the truth this month, we have to be a little thoughtful about how we reveal what we are feeling, right? We can still talk about how we feel, and we can talk about what we are thinking, and we can do it with kindness. But the tendency here is going to be able to just let it all hang out without really thinking a lot about other people's feelings, which we know we need to do. So speak your truth, but let's think about it in kindness, that there are ways that we can communicate our needs, our wants, and our thoughts that don't necessarily have to be harsh, because that is the downside of this queen. While she might be a drama queen, she might be a little on the harsh side. So in our queenly energy, knowing best internally what we need and want is kind of how we're looking at October. The frame of reference we're coming from is the Tower. And the Tower is the card of upheaval and change. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. The Tower comes to change things for us for our own good, right? For the best of things. You can see that there's a tree growing up from beneath this tower that's helping it to kind of come apart. And these people are falling out of the tower. The crown has been burst off the top by this lightning. It's almost been like something has happened, and now we have to find a new way to be. So this can be small and it could be big. It doesn't matter, but things are different in this month of October than they have been in September in some way, shape, or form. And so perhaps you are in a different home, a different job, a different classroom, that you are thinking about things from a different perspective. Maybe whatever was in place before is just no longer working, and we have to find a different way to live our lives. And that could be why we are feeling somewhat emotional and about needing to tell the truth here. Something has happened that's going to require us to know how we feel about it and be able to articulate it. So the influence from the past is coming from a place of a full heart, where we have all of the energies of the wands, the cups, the swords, and the pentacles, along with spirit. So we are coming from a full place, and I would say from a good and grounded place as we move into whatever this is that's kicking up our emotions and our need to express the truth. So that is a positive, that we are coming from a grounded and blessed place moving into whatever this is. So on our mind is the Four of Pentacles. Now, the Four of Pentacles is the fellow who's got a grip on his resources. He's got his intellectual resources. He's also got his spiritual resources, his emotional resources, and he's got one foot in each of his Pentacles resources, right? All of the resources that we have. And so this is a card. Sometimes it can be a card of preservation, that you're holding on to all of those resources when maybe you shouldn't be holding on to them quite so tightly. On the other hand, this is a card of great stability, which is a very positive card to have when you've had some kind of an upheaval down here in our environment. So regardless of what this tower has been, we've got the resources here to deal with it. So October looks like it's going to be fairly raucous, I would say, from the outside frame from which we're coming, but we've got all our resources here to be able to manage it. The only thing I'm not seeing here is wands, but we aren't quite finished here yet. Okay, where are we headed? We are headed to looking at things from a different perspective. The Eight of Cups is a card of going up into the hills to look back on what it is that we have and to try to determine if we need to go back and find the ninth cup or if we can just leave this behind and move on. So there is something in this month that is going to make it really possible for us to reconsider what it is that we want, what it is that we desire. And do we need to go back and find that ninth cup, or do we just need to leave this where it is and move on? And it's interesting to me that we've got an eclipse moon in this card when we have the eclipse tomorrow. So perhaps the eclipse and the new moon in Libra is going to give us some pause as to what to think about as far as what it is that we want going forward. So we now have 3 cups, a sword, and a pentacle along with our tower. Let's look at the Merryweather card, and what we have is the High Priestess. The High Priestess is the card of our own deep wisdom, our own deep knowing, and it is sometimes a card of knowing something we shouldn't have any other reason to know. The High Priestess is, you can see that her foot is on the crescent moon, and right, we are moving into a new moon. So there's something that we will know deeply and within our souls this month. And it may come from the fact that we are coming from a place of fullness into whatever the upheaval and the reconsideration of what we want and desire is present this month. So October looks to be a bit of a challenge, but it looks like we've got everything that we need in order to be stable in spite of whatever the upheaval is, that we have a deep knowing about the situation, and that we need to listen to our own internal wisdom about this. So we have the internal emotional wisdom, we have the internal truth wisdom, and we have that deep knowing that comes from paying attention to our own intuition. So this is what October looks like. And if this has been helpful for you, and I hope that it was, I invite you to come back again tomorrow when we start to look each day at some aspect of our lives. And tomorrow's will be about the relationships we have with our family. And so it will be up to you to decide whether we're talking about our relationship with our family of origin or the family of our creation. And when I talk about family of creation, what I'm talking about is not necessarily the people with whom we live, although it could be that, but it might also be the people that we have chosen to make family. So family has a very different definition in this day and age than it did when I was growing up. When you talk about family, we're talking strictly about your parents and your children and your siblings. So think about between now and tomorrow, do you want to think about your family of origin or the family of your creation? So that is what I have for today. Again, I invite you to come back tomorrow and we'll look at the relationship reading. And if this was helpful, and I hope that it was, please like, share, and subscribe. And blessings.